Good day everyone, Trainer Maxim with you. Thank you very much for joining me today. We are going to talk about the importance of the correct thinking about the movements we're performing. So let's see what it means. And as always, before we start, I want to thank everyone who supports my channel. Thank you so much, guys and girls, for your thoughtful comments, for your support, for your donations. Super thanks. My support angels, thank you a lot. And now I have some of you who chose to join my online course. Thank you for doing so. Thank you for being curious. Thank you for your desire to learn. I'm here to support you. Please do ask questions in the community hub. I will do my best to assist you on your journey. Now, let's continue. I should admit this topic is a little bit difficult to connect to, so I would like to ask you for your undivided attention because it's very important. And once you've connected the dots about this topic, the handstands, the push-ups, the pull-ups, everything will become a little bit easier. So before I explain in details what it means, let's do one small test. I would like you to do something. Could you please sit comfortable in front of the screens and just do as I say? No loaded, no tricky questions here. Just a very simple example. Everything I want you to do is to engage your biceps. So let's do our best to engage the biceps. Ready? And go. Engage your biceps. Some of you might be just tensing, some of you might be doing this, but do your best to engage the biceps for 3 seconds. Engage. Engage the biceps. More, 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 and rest. Good. I guarantee you that you all failed with this task. Let's do it one more time. Do slightly better. Engage the biceps. Ready? And go. Engage the biceps. More, more biceps. Tense, tense. Engage the biceps. And everyone failed again. Let's try one more time. Ready? Engage the biceps, but this time, give it all out. Give your best. Engage your biceps. And engage your biceps. Engage, engage, and more. Engage, and failure. All of you guys and girls failed. Now, at this point, you should ask me, Maxim, what the heck do you want from us to do? Well, turns out that Maxim actually wanted you to touch your shoulder with the hand. I actually wanted you to use your biceps in order to touch the shoulder with your hand, just like this. 1, 2, 3. Now you might be thinking, okay, why wouldn't you tell us so to begin with, right? It's very easy. It does take some effort from the biceps, but not as much as we used during those 3 failures, right? Not all out, just some small failure. And this is the essential part of what I want to share with you today. Correct thinking about the movements. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into the perspective of the central nervous system of these 2 tasks. So in the first place, in the first attempt, when I ask you to just engage the biceps, your brain designed a very simplistic motor program, motor algorithm for this activity. So once the desire was born inside your prefrontal cortex to tense the biceps, that signal went to premotor cortex, which is responsible for the extraction of the motor algorithms from the cerebellum. So that motor cortex sent the signal to the cerebellum and extracted a couple of simplistic commands on how to engage your biceps. Those instructions were sent back to the motor cortex. Motor cortex sent those instructions to the motor units in your spinal column here. And motor units are connected to the corresponding muscle cells. And motor units dispatched all the electrical activity to the corresponding muscle cells of the biceps. And you tense the biceps. So that's a very simplistic algorithm for the brain to perform. Execution of the biceps engagement. And yes, some of you might move the hand closer to the shoulder. Some of you might move the hand sideways or that way or another way. So those movements were absolutely random, because your main goal was to produce a very powerful muscular engagement from the biceps, right? And that's why no one touched the shoulder with the hand, because you simply did not know about that task. That was not on your agenda. Now, the second try, when I ask you to touch the shoulder with the hand, you task the brain with this idea. Now, from the brain's perspective, it's a completely different task. Yes, it does engage the biceps at some point, but it engages or includes much more activities than just the biceps activation. So once your cerebellum prefrontal cortex beget the desire to move the hand to the shoulder, your motor cortex went to the cerebellum, premotor cortex went to the cerebellum, extracted that algorithm, and inside that algorithm there were so much more instructions. For example, in order to move the hand to the shoulder, you need some biceps activation, for sure, but not as much as during the previous task, just maybe 5%, so that the hand can move to the shoulders. But in order for the biceps to be successful in moving the forearm around the elbow, the triceps needs to be deactivated because it's an antagonist. So that algorithm would include, the deactivation of the triceps. And in order to make sure that the hand moves to the shoulder in a very stable fashion, the shoulder needs to be stabilized. So some muscle stabilizers of the shoulders got activated to stabilize the shoulders. But in order to stabilize the shoulders, we need to stabilize the spine. So now while moving the hand to the shoulders, your core did some task, your spinal muscles did some task, and the other muscles responsible for the stabilization of the spine also executed some task. But in order to stabilize the spine, we need also to stabilize the hips and the legs. So the legs held its structure, otherwise the movement might be unpredictable. So you can see that during the second task, touch the shoulder with the hand, the motor algorithm that brain came up with was much more complex, much more sophisticated, and as a result, much more efficient for the biceps. So yes, we still use the biceps, but only at 5% all together with other muscles. And that is the main goal here. Because typically, when you go to the gym, we're getting used to the idea that we don't really move the torso. All the movements we do in the gym are performed with the limbs, with the hands or the legs. So the legs, the hands, the arms, they're moving around the torso. And that is correct. So we're getting used to the idea that we're moving the hands, we're engaging the biceps, we're moving the legs. When you start doing the body weight exercises, some gymnastics exercises, such as the push-ups, such as the handstands, or planches, etc., in those activities, the activation of the biceps or activation of the triceps are not going to give you a desirable outcome because you're approaching the body weight movements from a different perspective. With gymnastics and other skills like dancing or calisthenics, the main goal to activate the biceps or the triceps is to make sure that the body, the torso, moves in that or another way. So when you're entering the handstands, yes, you're using the shoulders, using the biceps, triceps, what have you, but with the goal of moving the torso up. With the planches, the same idea. You're moving the torso in a certain position. With the pull-ups, the same idea. The reason why you pull with the biceps is to move your torso up and move your torso down on the way back. So it's not really activation of the biceps. And if you think about those activities as you would about the activities with the dumbbells, with the weights here, then the brain will be designing, will be providing you with very simplistic algorithms for those gymnastics elements that would not be compatible with those gymnastics elements, and you would be struggling with the execution of those elements due to the inefficient algorithm designed by the brain to move your body in that or another way. So with gymnastics elements, with body weight elements, it's very important to approach the movements slightly differently, We need to lead the movement with the final outcome. If it's a handstand, then you must think that you're not pressing with the shoulders out or not moving the arms back, but moving the torso in that direction. So if you ask the brain to press down with the shoulders during the handstands, that the brain will do just that, press with the shoulders. And just like with the example about the biceps, you will engage the biceps, but you might not realize that the hand needs to go to the shoulder. Same with the handstands. Yes, you're engaging the shoulders, you're engaging the delts, you're engaging the upper trapezius, but somehow the torso is still not moving. Because the algorithm for this movement with this thinking is very simplistic. It's all about the shoulders. It does not include other muscles that would stabilize the torso, that would facilitate the engagement of the hips, toe point, and etc. I will demonstrate this approach shortly, and so on and so forth. So with the gymnastics movements, we need to look at the final outcome of what's going to happen, what needs to be happen, and lead the movement with the final outcome of the desirable element. So if it's a handstands, you're not asking your shoulders to engage or arms press back. You're asking the torso in the first place to move around the shoulders. And the brain will design much more sophisticated algorithm for these movements because you will be starting with the torso. So the spinal stabilizers will be engaged in the first place. The core will be engaged in the first place. The hips will be tightened in the first place. And only in the fifth or seventh place, the body will engage at the right time the shoulders, the shoulder muscles or the arm muscles in the right sequence to facilitate the ascent of the torso in the upright position, the vertical position. Otherwise, if you just task your body with press tall in the floor, then in the first place you will engage the shoulder muscles, omitting all those spinal stabilization, core stabilization, etc. And the torso will be heavy on the way up and will be very difficult to hold in the air because the torso essentially is sitting on your shoulders like a brick. You're not in control of it. And of course, you can at the same time think tuck the rib cage in or something like this, but now you're distracted from the main algorithm and it takes you forever to coordinate all those movement pieces. Versus you just start thinking correctly about the movement from the perspective of the final outcome. Why you're on the floor with the hands, to move the torso up into the vertical position. So lead in your head with the torso up. With the push-ups, the same idea. You're not doing the press-ups with the hands, targeting the chest and the triceps. Your main outcome of the activity of the chest and triceps and other muscles is to move the body down, stable torso down, move the stable torso up. With the pull-ups, it's the same idea. You're not just pulling with the biceps in the first place or the lats. You're asking the body to go up above the bar, and the brain will decide when to engage the lats, when to engage the biceps. But in the first place, the brain will stabilize the spinal muscles. Will stabilize the spine by using the spinal muscles, by using the core muscles, tightening the glutes, and so on and so forth. So when you approach the movement with the final outcome, your motor algorithm from the central nervous system perspective will be much more sophisticated, much more complex, and much better organized in terms of the muscular coordination. And now I'm going to demonstrate this with specific examples such as push-up, handstands, press to handstands, and we will see how it works. Okay, ready? But before I do that, could you please do me a favor and watch a short ad about my course? Thank you very much. Good day everyone, my name is Trainer Maxim and I'm so excited to see you joining this course. Thank you so much. I've designed this program to help you develop better flexibility, mobility and strength of the body's most important parts. And we're going to do that through working towards elements such as side splits, front splits, pancake stretches, spinal bridges and the open shoulders concept. So join me and let's see where this journey takes us. Let's have a look at the push-ups. So I'm going to do a couple of push-ups, 3-5, thinking that I'm pushing the floor away. I'm in the first place targeting the chest and the triceps. I'm doing the exercise for my chest, for my shoulder muscles. So I want to really exercise the chest, just like with the example I gave you, tense the biceps. Let's see what it looks like. So I'm taking the position, doing my best to maintain the torso form, and go down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 2 more, 1, and pressing, and pressing. Okay, decent actually. I'm strong enough, I can handle this position, but still you saw that the movement was a little bit laborious, a little bit forced on my body. My body didn't really look like it was moving with ease, and actually I felt a lot of tension in the chest during the entire exercise, because in my first place, I wanted to exercise the chest. So on the way down, I already started tensing in the chest. 1. On the way up, I tensed the chest a little bit more and the triceps kicked in and other muscles. But here's a dilemma with this. In order for the torso to go down, the elbow needs to go back, right? And when the elbow is going back, that is a stretch for the chest. So the chest must let go a little bit in order to facilitate the descent of the torso down, to have very good stretch here. And on the way up, the chest must re-engage, the triceps must support, and the biceps must be deactivated. But if you think that it's the chest exercise in the first place, the push-ups, the chest, the shoulders, the triceps exercise, then you keep the chest tense all the time. And by doing this, you're creating a lot of civil wars in the body. On the way down, you're trying to move the elbow back through the tension in the chest. That's already heavy, and you're losing a lot of strength for nothing. A lot of fatigue already accumulating here in the chest. And by the time when you're down, it's time to push with the chest, but the chest is tired because it was resisting on the way down quite hard. And in addition, your entire arm is so tense that the biceps might be activated as well. So on the way up, when you start pressing, your chest is tired, your biceps is active. As a result of the active biceps, the triceps cannot effectively help you, because in order for the triceps to extend the elbow, the biceps needs to let go. But the biceps doesn't let go because you're maintaining that perpetual tension in the arms while doing the push-ups. So the push-up movement looked very inefficient. However, I did it, but it cost me a lot of energy. It cost me a lot of tension in all my muscles, because I approached this exercise as the chest exercise. I was exercising the chest. However, the main idea, let's lead with the final outcome of the push-ups. Why we're doing the push-ups? What is supposed to happen during the activity of the chest, triceps, and other muscles? In essence, just like with my analogy, with my example about the biceps, what the final outcome of the movement? Well, the final outcome, just like touching the shoulder, is the torso is going down, the torso is going up. Yes, we're going to use the chest for that. We're going to use the triceps, the shoulders, the biceps, and other muscles, but we should lead and focus on the final outcome. The torso, stable torso, goes down and goes up. That's what we're telling our brain. And the brain will devise a completely different motor algorithm to facilitate our design. Let's see what it looks like if I'm thinking, I'm not pressing, I'm just moving my torso down, moving my torso up, and compare. So ready? 5 reps. I'm moving the torso down, moving the torso up. 1, torso down, up, 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 torso down, up. You see how the movement becomes very light, to the point I feel like taking my hands off the floor because it's so effortless. Because in the first place, when I asked the brain to move the torso, the brain stabilized the torso. The brain tried to, in the first place, engage the core, but my goal is to keep the spine tall. So my spinal stabilizers worked. Our concept of the neutral spine, I do have a video on this. Neutral spine stayed in place. In order to move down, the legs needed to be a little bit tightened to provide me with a good pivot point around the toes. So as a result, the ankles got a little bit tightened up and held their rigidity in order to facilitate the movement of the torso up and down. And in the last place, or maybe in between of this movement, the chest got activated on the way up, but not definitely on the way down, because the way down, I actually rode with gravity down. I used the gravity to bring me up. I did not use the resistance. I did not use my muscles to fight the tight chest to go down. I just let it go and re-engaged it. The brain decided to re-engage the chest and the triceps at the right time. So I essentially sprang up with the torso. So my algorithm with different thinking became completely different. It was still about the chest, still about the triceps, but in a different way. My movement became efficient and I could do 10-15 of those push-ups without even changing my breath. It was so easy, so efficient, and as a result safer for your shoulders because you're not over tensing. So let's have a look at it one more time. Let's say first 3, I'm doing push-ups. I'm thinking I am pushing the floor away. I'm working with the chest. Let's compare. We're doing push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, looks fine. But now we're not doing push-ups. We're moving the torso down, torso up. 5 reps, just the torso. Torso down, torso up. 1, torso, 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 down, up. You see how much more effortless the second attempt looked. And I spent, I needed much less effort to do those movements, saving my resources and making the elements look effortless. Because again, the main outcome of all the muscular activities here is the movement of the torso and not the movement of the hand. The approach I'm pressing works with the bench press. When the torso is on the bench and not moving, yes, then the final moving piece is the hand. Feel free to tense the chest. Yes, it's the hand moving. 1, 2, 3, moving the weight. Now you can really tense the chest and all the other elements. But the same thinking is not applicable to the push-ups. Because now here it's the torso that is a movable part, not the hand. The hand is staying on the floor and doesn't really move anywhere. The forearm is used as an anchor point for other muscles to hold onto while they're pulling on the movable parts, upper arms and the torso in this way. So it's very important to keep it in mind in order to let the brain devise an appropriate motor algorithm for the task. Otherwise, the task of the push-ups will be difficult, and it has nothing to do with how strong you are or how prepared, how well trained you are. In the first place, it has everything to do how well you think about the movement, how correctly you think about the movement, so that the brain can calibrate the muscular activity up to the task. Otherwise, you will be generating different algorithms that might be half compatible with the movement or not compatible at all, and the movement will be, as a result, very, very difficult, and you will be thinking, oh, I'm not strong enough, and etc. And we'll be training the chest muscles to get better with the push-ups or the triceps to get better, and it helps for sure. We still need to train those muscles separately, but at the end of the day, we need to include those trained muscles into the algorithm, into the motor algorithm in the right way in the first place, in order to utilize their capacity at 100%, with 100% of efficiency. Otherwise, we'll have a lot of losses, and as a result, especially with age, we will have a lot of chances to get injured. We don't like it. We want to avoid injuries. So, in order to change the way you move, you must change the way you think about the movement in the first place. Now, let me demonstrate the handstand. For example, with the handstands, it's very common to think that shoulders are pressing, that the arms are facilitating. Let's see what's going to happen if I try to hold the handstand with this idea: press, stall, press. I'm not going to give you perfect handstand, just the idea. So, for example, I'm entering here, and they would suggest press, stall with the shoulders, tighten up, and go press with the shoulders. Okay, I can handle it. Press. Okay. Rib cage tucked in, I can do that. 1, good, shoulders open. Okay, Maxim, you need to press tall with the shoulders in order to get better position. Okay, press tall. Okay, not so stable, but I'll try again. Press tall. Rib cage tucked, press tall. Rib cage tucked, press tall. Okay. Well, now my shoulders are toasted, because just like with the analogy with the biceps, I engaged my shoulders. And you saw how my torso was kind of flimsy on my shoulders, as if there was a strong wind here. It's not so stable. Had I just decided to move the legs in addition back and forth, that would have been a catastrophe from my shoulders. Very exhausting. Because again, my brain designed not an efficient algorithm for this movement. And shall I train with this thinking? It can take me forever, for years, to train in order to get more stable handstands. And maybe by some chance the brains would start thinking in a different way and will design a different motor program without you knowing it. But why should you wait until that? You can do it right away, right now. So let's see what's going to happen when I think, screw the shoulders. I don't need to press tall here. I train my muscles how to do this. I train my deltoids how to compress the shoulder and go back. I train my core, I train my spinal muscles, everything is there. I just need to connect the dots in a better way. And to do that, I need to think slightly differently so that the brain, based on my different thinking, would come up with a different motor algorithm, more efficient. Want to change how you move? Change how you think. It's very important because the brain runs the muscles. Muscles are stupid by themselves. They don't act unless they're told to act by the brain through the nerves, say electrical activities. So I'm taking the position here and I'm thinking, okay, I don't really want to press with the shoulders. I want my upper body, represented by the sternum, neck, just upper body, to move around the shoulders. And see what's going to happen here. Upper body goes around the shoulders. 1. Okay, I'm exaggerating right now. Upper body around the shoulders. Upper body around the shoulders. Upper body around the shoulders. And I can move it back until I fall. I was exaggerating this example, but you saw how I did not really press tall with the shoulders. I did not push with the arms back. My body somehow miraculously went and rotated around the shoulders, using the shoulders as a pivot point, as a fulcrum, how it's supposed to be, and rotated this way. I just used the physics of levers here. I made sure that by asking my body to move this way, by asking my sternum to move from this to this, and remind you, sternum is the bone inside your chest here. I led with this. I picture that my stick would be just simply moving this way. That's what I was asking my brain in the first place. And the brain devised a better motor algorithm based on that. The brain tightened up my core, opened up my shoulders, and much more activities before actually engaging the shoulders, because I did not need to engage my shoulders right away. I needed to wait until my torso vertical and push just enough to support my torso, just like with the biceps. Engage enough biceps to touch the shoulder with the hand. Not tense it a lot to do that. Just casually touch it. And see, when you lead it with the torso, you use the physics of lever, which is the following. This is a very rigid lever, right? Let's say this is the shoulders. Here, some piece of the spine sticking out, your neck and other things. And you're telling these parts to go this way. Where do you think the top part would move? If I move the bottom this way, well, obviously this way, right? 1, and that's it. And that's your handstands. And that's how you moved the entire torso around the shoulders in a very good open way. And after that, you can tighten up your chest here, hide your ribs, tighten up the glutes, make sure that you have neutral arch, tailbone extension, and all the other ways. After that, you can make sure that the rigidity of the torso is a little bit better. But in the first place, you need to tilt the torso around the shoulders. And the brain found a different way. The brain activated the upper trapezius in a better way. Upper trapezius is attached here to the head, to the shoulders, and to the spine. So when I'm in this position here, upper trapezius tensing in the right time, grabbing my spine here, and yanking the spine around the shoulders this way. 1. And that's why there is a logic to press tall, because we do want to activate the upper trapezius. It's the upper trapezius and the other muscles that are dragging the spine around, grabbing the spine like this and dragging the spine around the shoulders. Upper trapezius, yes. But again, if you task the upper trapezius just with tension, just like with the biceps, tense upper trapezius. Tense, and upper trapezius is not acting on the spine, because that's not the action demanded from the upper trapezius. The action demanded tension, okay? We will create tension. And the hand will not move to the shoulder because we did not ask it. And the brain came up with less sophisticated algorithm, which was only about the tension in the upper trapezius. So let's have a look one more time. I am entering the handstands with the first thinking. I'm pressing the shoulders, pressing the arms. Let's say somehow I managed to enter the handstand. Okay, I'm here. Not a good form of the handstands, upper back, and etc. So if I try to press tall in order to make my spine more vertical, okay, press and tall, 1, press and tall, 2, And the spine couldn't care less. It does not react. 3. I'm quite strong with my upper trapezius, but I can't. 3, 4. Okay, let's press with the arms a little bit back behind the ears. Arms back, 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 back. Now, by thinking press the arms back, I'm simply shifting my shoulders, the pivot point, back a little bit, and that makes the entire torso arch. Essentially, my spine that doesn't care what the shoulders are doing, since we're not leading with the spine sits a little bit arched here, and the shoulders are moving away from the hands, like this. And the spine starts arching, 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 in order to still support the handstand position, because that's your goal, right? You don't want to fall, and you start doing some sort of Mexican handstand, which is an element. We can do this, but it's not compatible with regular handstands you would like to learn. Now, see the different outcome. I will enter the handstand, and I will be thinking just rotate my sternum, like let's say this is your head, this is the wall, you jumped in the handstands, your torso is under-rotated, and I'm thinking my head, my sternum just simply moves this way. And of course, my mid spine, lower spine, will be moved that way. 1. And the shoulders and other guys will be just supporting this element and not tense unnecessarily. So have a look at this. Entering the handstand. Okay, tucking the rib cage a little bit, and I'm thinking no press required, nothing. Just sternum goes that way I described, and go. 1. Okay, now you can straighten in the legs and all the other guys. And keep thinking sternum this way, looking between the hands, sternum, sternum, sternum. Now you can move the legs. Now you can tuck, sternum, sternum. Do those movements, whatever you want. Because in the first place, you're leading with the spine. You're accomplishing the main goal, the movement, the position of the spine. You brought the spine up, and you brought the spine in this position. Your shoulders, upper trapezius, all the other guys, deltoids, they just facilitated the movement. They were a part of a much bigger picture in terms of the motor algorithm sophistication. They were just small parts of those intentions, not the main part. Shall you just press without connecting the dots? The algorithm is very simple, and you will not achieve the desirable outcome. Now, same goes for the press to handstands, the desirable element in gymnastics. When you're familiar with this one, we go here, and now the goal is to somehow transfer the spine into the handstand position. Again, it comes down to the shoulder strength, right? We need to press with the shoulders, we need to make sure that we can handle this position, etc. Okay, so let's do just this. I'm thinking somehow I'm leaning slightly forward, pushing with the shoulders, tailbone extension, spine rigid, all those things, and I will try to press with the shoulders and the arms, hoping that my torso will go up. Okay, let's do just that. Here, tailbone, spinal, okay, and press with the shoulders. Press, press, arms, shoulders, press. 1, cool. It's okay, mediocre. I managed. Have some practice. My fingers strong enough to handle, but you saw how it was not just like with a smile, right? My elbows, it was very difficult. It was so laborious. Versus, what is the main goal of this movement? It's not to press with the shoulders, right? Or not to press with the arm. Again, we're asking the main goal as a result of all those activities. We just simply need to transfer my upper torso or torso from this angle into this angle, just like during the handstands. So I'm asking my sternum in the first place before actually pressing to do this movement. Let's say this is me and doing this. So 1, and now I can straighten. So I'm just moving the upper spine into this direction, away from my wall, like sternum away, this direction. And the brain will come up with a different motor pattern. The brain will, in the first place, make my spine stable. So rigidity in the spine will allow the transfer of energy from other muscles. core will be tightened, legs will be tightened, and the shoulders will kick in only at the right time when we need the shoulders to kick in. So have a look at this. I go here, no pressing, nothing. However, I will be pressing, but not in my hand, not in my head. In my head, I'm thinking sternum goes that way towards my feet. 1, 2, sternum towards the feet, sternum towards the feet. And I can lead until I fall. And it becomes easy. With a smile here, sternum this way, sternum this way, sternum this way, sternum, sternum, sternum. Good, and again, sternum, sternum leads, sternum leads, sternum leads, sternum leads, versus press with the shoulders, press with the shoulders, press with the shoulders. Oh, now my pelvis hangs like a dead weight. Yes, I'm stabilizing tailbone extension, trying to press tall with the shoulders, but I did not task my brain to move the torso in the first place. Just like I did not task your brains at the beginning of this video to move the hands to the shoulders. I tasked my torso, I tasked my brain with the objective of tensing the shoulders, press with the arms. And yeah, the torso itself couldn't care less. No spinal facilitation, maybe some core tension, excessive core tension drags the tailbone down, and so on and so forth. And in the future, guys and girls, you might want to do legs apart and tuck. How would you stay in the handstands when the torso is dead, just shoulders working hard, and you go into the tuck? Have a look at this. Let's say you manage with the shoulder press, good, and you do the tuck. How would you hold? Well, you will naturally be leaning forward more, doing the planche-like position, but that's not really the objective. The objective is to use the physics of lever in order to be stable. It's not about strength. Have a look at this. I'll use this one. So that represents your pelvis. Before you enter in the handstands, the head is here, and so the movement looks like this. This is your pelvis, legs here. In this position, it's very difficult for me to hold the dumbbell because nothing supports the dumbbell. It's hanging on my muscles. But if I do this to the elbow, 1. Okay, now it's very easy to support the dumbbell since now I have the elbow under the dumbbell. And with my hand, I can do whatever I want to the dumbbell. It's easy. I'm not hurting my shoulder. It's extremely easy. But if I lose this position and the elbow will go slightly forward, the dumbbell again hangs on the pelvis, and now it becomes tricky to do these free movements because nothing supports here. There is a torque affecting, created by the gravity, affecting my dumbbell, and it's becoming very difficult. And that's exactly what we're dealing with the handstand movements, like press to handstands and manipulations with the legs and so on and so forth. So compare this. Rib cage in, let's say here, and you want to bring the leg sideways and go and down to the and you struggle in controlling the legs on the way down because your dumbbell right now has no support. Your sternum is leaning slightly forward. Yeah, you're pressing tall with the shoulders, you might be leaning forward, overloading the wrists, overloading the shoulders, but there's no control. And it's not because you're not strong enough. It's because the physics of levers is not there. It's not working on your side. Versus, you enter this position and you think at all time, whenever you're moving the legs, at all time you think the sternum goes this way. See what's going to happen here. Sternum, 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 still sternum, still sternum, sternum, leading with the sternum, 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 no shoulders, no press, sternum. I'm thinking sternum. All the time I'm trying to lead with my upper spine this way because that's the final task I want from my body. My final task is not move the legs on the top. My final task is maintain the body in the state of equilibrium, in the balance. For that, I need the sternum, the upper spine, to be in a constant state of rotation around the shoulders. And that's my main goal. And because it's my main goal, my brain designed the corresponding algorithm, motor algorithm, and the movements of the legs became just a distraction from my algorithm. And if I got, had I gotten distracted from that algorithm and stopped thinking sternum, then my sternum, my upper spine would definitely shift forward. And now all these weights of the legs sitting unsupported, and of course it will push me down. Let's say I'm thinking sternum, good, sternum, sternum, sternum. And the moment I decided, okay, the legs apart and legs down is more important task, I'm losing, they might lose sternum. And I don't have any support from the physics, from the physics of lever. Because in my head, I switched to the movement of the legs, to the compression of the legs, legs down, and so on and so forth. So I lost the main objective. Main objective is to stay in the handstands while moving those guys. And that's how it works with many other elements, such push-ups, the crow stance you do, the position, we lean forward and try to stay there, it's difficult. What is the main objective of the crow stand? Is to transition the spine into this position. Well, lead with the spine. Go here, don't lean forward, just tell the sternum, sternum forward, and here is your crow. Very easy, sternum forward, sternum, 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 sternum. You can do whatever elements you want. For as long as you lead with the sternum, you can move the arms, you can go in the legs. Planches, the same idea for the planches. Let's say you're doing tucked planches here, sitting like this in that famous exercise 1 and 2, shoulder strength. It is shoulder strength, but it needs to be coordinated correctly in the first place. If you think that the planche is all about leaning forward with the shoulders and somehow miraculously survive with the shoulder strength, if I do that, I just don't feel that I can even lift my torso, because in the first place I'm tasking my brain with the task of the shoulder press, shoulder tension, and my spine is just a dead weight hanging there doing essentially nothing. Versus I'm not tasking my shoulders with anything. I train them, yes, we did a lot of shoulder, straight arm strength, and etc. All the muscles we need are already developed and trained. Now we need to orchestrate them better. And what we do? Lead with the final outcome. Final outcome, your neutral spine with the open shoulders, with the tailbone extension must transfer from here to here. No leaning forward, nothing. If it happens a little bit, it happens due to the motor algorithm, greater, more complex motor algorithm. And you do this. And just sternum forward, sternum forward, sternum forward, sternum forward, and done. Sternum forward, move the legs, move, and train from there. So you see how this kind of thinking helps you, will help you dramatically cut the time of learning elements, save your efforts, preserve you from unnecessary injuries that might be sustained due to unnecessary tension in the joints that are preventing the joints from moving correctly. So we really need to move to think in the right way in order to move in the right way, because thinking, famous hashtag body-mind connection, that's what it actually means. Neurology, how it works. The mind is connected to the muscles by nerves. The mind produces the computational processes to calculate all the movements of all the engagement of the muscles, for how long, with what strength, in what sequence most importantly, and so on and so forth. So just by thinking correctly, you will be moving correctly. And that's not some philosophical, it's just physiology. That's how biology and levers and physics works in your body. So please give it a try. Try to do those push-ups and pull-ups leading with the final outcome you want, body up, body down, if the movement is related to the movement of the body. If it's the movement related with the movement with the exercise for the biceps, triceps in the machines, then yeah, sure, move the hands. Tense the triceps, but if the body moves, then lead with the body, like deadlifts or squats. The outcome of the squats is not to bend the knees or the hips, it's to bring the torso down and bring the torso up in a certain fashion. So lead with the torso, so that the body would stabilize the torso in the first place and take care of the algorithm for those muscles responsible for the torso's activities and not the legs and the hips in the first place. So think differently. Try that, and you should see some small differences, but they're actually huge. They will make a difference in your practice of learning handstands and other activities. And that's it for today. I am apologizing for a lot of talking here, explanation. I was just trying to deliver this topic because it's of an extreme importance. If you manage to connect this, you will save tremendous amount of time on training those elements that have nothing to do with your strength and has everything to do with the right thinking, right coordination, right sequence of the muscles activities. So that is for today. Thank you very much for your patience, for your attention. I will see you in my next videos. Go enjoy your day, and please do check out my course. I worked hard for that, 4 months, 200 plus videos. It was a nightmare, but I managed. So just have a look at this. Otherwise, enjoy your day. Trainer Maxim with you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.